And then it was just when you bought the Lamborghini, and I remember how much I got changing a boiler, which was about 500 quid. Boiler changes were like
that's the big
my golden money.
That's
stuff,
the big money. Yeah.
And I remember going, no matter how many of these I do in a year, it's impossible for me to get
You
one
can't
of them.
buy that.
No.
Yeah, you can't buy it. Yeah, exactly.
And then that was kind of when I transitioned. And I remember you were living with me in lockdown, and I remember I went and serviced the boiler. Went in my van that day. Next day I went back to try and had a market appraisal booked.
Yeah, you were doing a bit of both. Yeah,
I booked a market appraisal as I was a gas engineer on my first visit.
Yeah.
So the first day was servicing the boiler. The next day I was valuing his house.
Welcome to the latest YouTube episode, and I'm here with my brother Reis Ash. I'm sure you all know him. So we're out here in beautiful Dubai. It's getting a little bit darker now, and I'm just going to take you through with Reis, and he's going to take you through what has been an unbelievable journey so far in real estate. You've earned an average around £50,000 plus 3 months running, so £150,000 in 3 months, which is massive money. And it's pretty good.
Not a bad day at the office.
Yeah. So, you know, when it comes to, I guess, people who are like getting into real estate or are in real estate and maybe it's not working out for them or are just intrigued anyway, it'd be interesting for other people to hear a bit more about like the journey you've taken and what's actually led up to this point.
Yeah, I mean, previously track record is played football when I was younger at school. Left school at 16 to play professionally till I was about 19, 20. And you and Dad were always there, to be fair, like watching the games. Played for Pakistan International team, scored on my debut. I did a video about that.
It's on Wikipedia.
It's on
You
Wikipedia.
can flash that up somewhere.
That was it's in my highlight reel, that is. My Pakistan cap on the side of the mantelpiece.
Yeah.
And then I think afterwards, me and you were nudged down the same route when it comes to kind of a stable job from our old man, from Dad. And he pushed you into being an electrician, and I was the plumber.
Yeah.
And I think the angle was he's got a small portfolio of properties, and he thought if you can use me and Ty for the majority of the stuff, it seemed really.
And a lot of family businesses are run like that, and you know it could have worked. I think that, you know, when I did my electrical license, whatever it's called, the qualification, I didn't have a blind understanding of what I was doing, and really it's like with anything though, if you really are interested in something, you'll take a massive interest in it and then you'll be the best at it. But I spent time with like electricians, wiring in lights, wiring in sockets, trying to do fuse boards, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And you know, and that sort of took you, because you know, you played at, I remember watching you when you was younger, you played at Coventry City, you played at MK Dons, even West Bromwich Albion you were trialling at the time.
Spain for a year
Spain
as well.
At the Glen Hoddle Academy. And what do you think, because obviously it's very difficult for people probably who fall out of professional football, because there's a big fallout rate of professional footballers. What would you say to people like that who potentially might be in your boat where they're getting released at 17, 18?
It's very hard, because when you're coming up as the best footballer around, you have this ego with you
in school and stuff like that.
You have this ego, like the entitlement ego, where you're the best. It's all the rage. You're going and playing.
You turn up in the training kit school. Everyone kisses your ass.
And you have that from a very young age, and then you get thrust into professional football, and everyone's at that level, and then you're not that ego, and then you've really got to fight to get to the next level. And the majority is, I could count on a few fingers that have actually played in the Premier League that I've played with or against. It's it's that difficult. So you have to kind of...
Well, I think isn't the numbers, it's like just over 1,000 places from top of the Premier League to the bottom of League 2.
That's it, yeah.
Just over 1,000 places. That's squad places, by the way.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine that League 1, League 2, they're probably earning like 100 grand a year.
Yeah.
Minus. Yeah. And then probably League 1 and above, Championship are probably on 200, 300 grand a year. And then really it's only the Premier League, and even bottom end Premier League footballers are only on like 100 grand a month.
And then you're talking in comparison to the world, not just England, when it comes to trying to break through. So when you do come out of football, you have to kind of put your ego aside and realise that it's not ended the way you wanted it to do in the football career, and you have to go and start at zero again. So all these people that were at sixth form, or maybe was apprentices when they left school, you're effectively 3 or 4 years behind everyone else in the real world, because you're chasing the football dream. So I think the plumbing thing was good because as soon as I got my qualification, I set up my own company. And it's quite funny because I remember how I got my first big contract with a letting agent, and it's ironic. I used to walk around the high street and knock on all the letting agents' doors.
Yeah, I remember you saying
and
this.
I said,
yeah.
who are you doing for your gas certificates and who are you doing for your plumbing work? I'll do it cheaper. It's probably not the right way to go about it now.
You were going in,
but I was going, I'll do it cheaper. And they're like, right, we'll try you.
With trades, you kind of have to do that anyway because they're getting a pretty much the same standard, I think.
Yeah.
Unless it's really awful.
No, yeah. If it's a gas certificate and a leak, it's pretty straightforward. So I made sure that I ended up winning 3 contracts, large contracts over my first year. And I was pretty much blagging it at the start because I didn't really know. I'd only come fresh out of college and then I hired other plumbers around me. I always struggled to scale it up. But it was never my passion. It's like, you know, when you said you picked up a screwdriver and an electrician, you knew you didn't want to do it. But with real estate, you don't start it and you're good at it and you know you want to do it. You start it and you're really shit at it.
Yeah.
And then you start questioning it. But what the result from real estate will change your life. Like you talk about them figures at the start. But if you work hard at the basics in real estate, you will enjoy it. It's not an if.
That's the thing with it. Like the funny thing is what Reis has said there as well is that like it doesn't matter what the business is. It doesn't matter what the business is. It all starts with prospecting. You've got to get your leads in. You've got to get your effectively opportunities to convert into selling your product or service or whatever it might be. So the fundamentals of business are all the same, and it just depends on where your passion is to generate that revenue. So when it comes to real estate, so I remember like obviously as you know Tyron Ash as a business was growing at the start, I think the turning point might have been when I picked my Lambo up.
Yeah, we were living together in lockdown in 2020, wasn't it? And
but you were literally like, right, I'm ready. And I remember getting a message off you and you said like, I'm ready to do this. And I was like, no, I rang mum and dad. I was like, he actually wants to do this. I was like, I'm actually shocked.
Dad was like, don't make him do it. He's not the same as you.
Yeah, he's not the same as you. He's not a salesman. He's not a natural salesman.
Yeah.
And Dad's not a negative guy. He's just a traditional guy.
Yeah.
And, you know, what I've always believed with real estate, with sales and with all that is that you have to keep banging at the door and learning. And eventually you just get it. And, you know, you did have it in you because you were prospecting for plumbing
that's what
contracts.
It's mad because I was just thinking about it now, like when you were talking, I was like, I remember pulling up in my Vauxhall Astra estate, and I didn't have a van, and I used to have all my tools in the back, the seats folded down, the copper pipe would go from the back of the car all the way through to hit the radio. It'd literally knock the radio off and I'd slam my brakes on. It was nuts. And I remember pulling up to the estate agents and I was like, I went in, I was like in my gear, had my little logo on my polo.
Nice.
And I think I went to about 20 and I only got one, literally the same as door knocking in England with properties. And I just thought then it's exactly the same and you have to get your leads from somewhere. And then, the turning point was in lockdown because, I mean, I was doing all right. I had a 4-bed detached house. I had a van on the road. I had a Mercedes CLA 45. A couple of apprentices.
Yeah.
And then it was just when you bought the Lamborghini, and I remember how much I got changing a boiler, which was about 500 quid. Boiler changes were like my fucking
that's the big
my golden money.
That's
stuff,
the big money. Yeah.
And I remember going, don't matter how many of these I do, in a year, it's impossible for me to get one of them.
You can't buy that. Yeah, you can't buy it. Yeah, exactly.
And then that was kind of when I transitioned. And I remember you were living with me in lockdown, and I remember I went and serviced a boiler. Went in my van that day. Next day, I went back to try and had a market appraisal booked.
Yeah, you were doing a bit of both.
I booked a market appraisal as I was a gas engineer on my
at the
first
place.
visit.
Yeah.
So the first day was servicing the boiler. The next day, I was valuing his house. It was quite a good story. But no, I think with football and what I went through, which was really tough, it does build a lot of character and that discipline to go. When I think you said to me before I joined is that whatever I do, without trying to sound arrogant, I do end up being one of the best at it.
Yeah, you've got a knack.
Yeah, if it's golf, or football, I don't know what it is, but if I put my mind to something, I always got that ability.
I think you do have an obsessive personality.
Yeah.
You've had an obsessive personality, and when you're either in or you're out.
Yeah.
And when you're in, it's like there's no other option. You've got to do it. It's got to consume your whole life, and that's what I was waiting to happen for you in real estate. Was you were learning it, and you would have the frustration, a good day, and then it was like it clicked, and you're like, right, now you can dial in. And that's what it is. And I think that's what a lot of people have to go through. They have to understand that just because you're passionate about the fact you want to be the next big real estate agent, it's going to take you months, if not years, to get to that point where you can make £50,000 plus a month, buy a Lamborghini or Ferrari or whatever it is that you want to do. And in that process, what would you say are the biggest things you had to address from going from a completely new person to getting to a point where you're doing 150 grand in 3 months?
The hardest part for me in the beginning was, I remember seeing your videos on social media, and you talk a little bit better than me. I think you're a little bit more eloquent than me. I'm a bit more rough around the edges when I speak. I'm a bit more like, "You're right, mate," that type of thing. And I remember trying to do my videos, and I was trying to talk like you, and I was using words I didn't even know what they meant, but I'd typing it in on thesaurus, like other words for this. And I'd have a script out, and it'd take me like an hour to film a 2-minute video. And it was just like, and I think you said, like, you just be yourself. I know you can look at people in the industry of what they do well, but you should never imitate what or who they are. You've got to look at what they do as far as habits and processes and stuff. So when I kind of clicked with that and I was like, I am who I am, I then started finding social media a lot easier. I didn't care after the first few, you sound awful. The first few, you sound awful. You don't look the part. You know, you can tell you're pretty fresh into the industry, but then you build that confidence up, and now it's just like, boom, I'll do a video now and I've got nearly 500,000 views talking about the property market in Dubai. And that's kind of where you get to. But social media was very difficult because it's very delayed gratification, which is a lot of the industry.
A lot of the industry is built on that. I think most people they don't see the dollar value in producing content every day, putting up stories, putting up posts on LinkedIn, doing all the things that actually add value, deliver information, do all this stuff that people can engage with, because they don't see an immediate response of, I want to buy 5 houses off you. And unfortunately, the world and business just doesn't work like that. You know, people have to build trust through social media content, understand that you're credible, understand that you're knowledgeable, see some social proof of results that are happening, other clients that they've seen, okay, might be similar to them. And before you know it, chip, and then it all just, they go, yeah, I want to do
what was quite difficult is I've come from an industry, even in football, you do this, you get that, you do this, you get that. Like, I go fix your boiler, I get money paid then, there and then. With this, it's very much like, oh, what have you done? How much money have you got? You've been working for a month and you haven't got anything. Well, I've got 5 listings and one's going through. Yeah, but how much money's in the bank? It's very much, you do a lot of work. You do 3 months of work to kind of get at a zero, but it's not a zero because you haven't earned anything. So you still kind of, it's so late in actually getting the money or the rewards for it. And that was probably the hardest thing for me to realize, that you've got to knock 100 doors to then get money in 5 or 6 months time.
It's true. And I think that, like, that's what I think in society, that's what a lot of people struggle with. I think they want everything now. You want views and likes and comments now. Everything is now. Everything's instant dopamine hit, instant cash, quick this, quick that. And the big money just doesn't come like that. You know, it can for some people, anomalies, but I think the reality is that anyone who's really getting into real estate, getting into business, needs to understand that it is a delayed gratification game. So when you talk about when you were starting, how did you address things like prospecting? So like, when you're making a call, when you're doing a door knock and it doesn't quite go well, that's where people give up. They give up when they've made 5 calls or 10 calls and nothing happens, or they knock 10 doors and nothing happens, or they get a few slammed in the face. You had plenty slammed in your face.
In the beginning, I used to avoid it because I didn't like the thought of door knocking. It kind of petrified me. So I'd get lunch, get a coffee. I'd been out in the car for an hour and I hadn't even knocked a door because I was procrastinating because I didn't want to do
dinner.
it. I was doing everything to avoid it. And I just thought, so I did it, and then they actually got a market appraisal out of it, and it was fantastic. And I was thinking, well, if I sell this house that's 1.2 million at 2.5%, I'll net like 15 grand here. Like, it's life-changing money. Like, more I'd get in 3 months of doing. And that's when it kind of clicked to go, oh, wow, this is the potential
what
here.
What if I do 5 of them?
Or
10 of them?
And that's kind of how it went. And then it got to the point as well where you'd knock the door, they wouldn't answer. No, sorry, you'd knock the door, they'd not shut it in your face. You're back there in a week or two time, and you see that door, and you have the thing goes through your head where you're going, oh, I remember what happened last time.
They shut the door on my face.
But then I did it once, and he goes, oh, do you know what? My agent's useless. I was lying to you last time. And you end up getting a listing and selling his house. It's only a small one, but it was like, wow, like, you don't know what
persistence. If you didn't go back, you wouldn't have got it. And then you've got to think about, so we're just talking about the results, right? the result is you're persistent, you overcome objections, you close it, and you go back again and back again, right? But what do you think, and this is an important subject in real estate, what do you think experiences like that did for your character?
Yeah, character's a huge part, because when things go well, we've seen it in the company, people have knocked a door, they got lucky on a multi-agency listing and sell a £7 million house, and their ability is right down here.
Yeah, in the
That's
gutter.
just luck.
Yeah, yeah.
But when you build that resilience of knockback, I'd have a pipeline of, I remember I lost £50,000 worth of sales in 2 days, I think.
Yeah,
really knocked me back.
Yeah.
And then I bounced back, and I think I did like 100K 2 or 3 months later. But when you have that knockback, you do have to kind of look at yourself and dig deep, because no one feels sorry for you.
No.
Like, you know the industry you're in, you get massive money, and it does come with that risk of not getting guarantees. So the knockbacks make you who you are. The easy sales, although it's getting the money feels great, you don't learn anything when it goes well. When an easy sale goes well.
It's true. I think the most learning gets done when you have a difficult customer, when they're saying they only want to pay 1% and you're going to put and your fee is 2.5%. When they say they want you to pay for all the marketing, but you have a £1,000 marketing fee. All these things are where you have to hone your skills, because in essence, you're delivering a valuable service and a process that's going to get them a better result. So for me, I was always so meticulous with the processes, because I thought to myself, maybe I'm not explaining it to an owner correctly. Why on earth would you want me to do this for 1%? Because if it's £2 million house, that's £20,000 on a £2 million asset. A £2 million asset requires multiple marketing strategies, short, medium and long form video content, massive marketing out to the entire database. It needs massive marketing out to the entire network, all social media platforms, direct marketing through the messages, as well as all of the Rightmove, Zoopla, or any property
door
portals
knocking
that we're
around
doing
the area as well, that sort of stuff.
Plus the local marketing strategies, door knocking, open house strategy. Before you know it, you've got this massive list of things that you've got to do. And I'm thinking to myself, what part of that is 1%? Because
or cheap,
because it's not. This is a £50,000 service, but the difference is that I'm not going to scrape to get you 1.6 million. We're going to be pushing the maximum value, because we're going to have 30 buyers through the door, 10 offers on the table, competition on the property, and your house is going to get sold for the highest possible price. And that's why we hold our average fee as like 2.45% across the entire business in the UK. And that was very impressive numbers. And for me, that is so important. And I think that character building and understanding why you're doing something, and when we talk about getting better at something and the resilience and all that, how important for you is like self-development, training and all that stuff?
Just about to say that. When I joined, because I wasn't a salesman, I didn't know what, but I had watched Wolf of Wall Street, and I was like, I know he's a good salesman. So I typed in Jordan Belfort online course, paid like £2,000 or whatever it was, 500, can't remember what it was, $2,000 maybe. And I remember watching and doing this. It's like a 12-month subscription to it, and then I learned like the straight line theory of, the whole sales thing, and he broke it down in a way that I understood. And I think I'm quite, I like to know process of how things work. I think it's how my personality is. So when I understand something is like it's a multi-stage process, I can then break it down a lot easier, as opposed to going, I've got to try and make this person buy this house, or I've got to try and win this listing. If you understand there's a process involved with the whole market appraisal, instead of going down, right, your house is worth this, let's do it for this. You have to go through the whole process of it, of comparing the experiences they've had with their previous agent that they're agreeing to pay 1.5% for. You gather that information in the beginning, you then deliver tons of value, comparing it to the services they were already previously getting. Where they'll probably be bad at this point, you can soon start to see I should be charging you 5%, not 2.5%.
I thought 2.5 was too cheap.
Like, so when I went through the whole process of market appraisals, negotiating offers, not just getting super excited, shooting my bolt. I've got the owner, I've got the number you wanted for, because you ring up the owner and tell the number they wanted for, they'll go, oh, let's try and get a higher one. That was easy.
So you've got to
understand how to deliver things correctly. And I did a lot of online training with that. Lots of books, like self-help books, can't think of them off the top of my head, Atomic Habits, Fanatical Prospecting, stuff like that. And I just reread an audiobook, and I got really consumed in the whole process of learning how to sell.
So obviously over to Dubai, you've been here about 5 months. In the last 3 months, you've done on average around 50 grand a month. which is huge money. What's been the journey like for you? Obviously, I've seen it firsthand, but for people listening, you've landed here. It's a clean start. It's fresh, new place.
Yeah, I mean, I was always tempted with it. I wanted to come when you came, but I knew we had different setup in the UK and everything. But now I came over here and I absolutely love it. I wish I moved over here sooner. And it's mainly down to everything that the structure that I have here. When I was back in the UK, I was a early bird, rising at 5 a.m. in the gym for 6 to do whatever. And over here, I realised it's a bit more nocturnal. So little changes like not going to the gym at first thing in the morning. We go at like 7, 8 o'clock. The people we're meeting at the gym alone, I think I've done more business from the gym in the last few months than I have done in my whole life in England. And I think that's just because you're surrounded by open-minded, successful people that when they see a good opportunity, they know what we do, they know who we are, and they see how good the opportunity is when it comes to investing in certain areas. They want to get involved, and I feel like in England it's very like
you've got to wrestle them to the floor, haven't you?
Yeah, the amount of times I've lost business in the UK from people go, "Oh, I've used the local agent because they were doing it cheaper than you," and it's kind of like you didn't even ask. And it's like they'd rather put money in other people's pocket if it saves them 100 quid than looking after their mate's business. And I think over here it's the opposite. You get a good network of people here and you all want to do business together.
Of course, yeah, and you do. You develop very good friendships. A lot of the people that you're doing business with become your friends, and the reason being is that like you have the same direction. And I had a few people like this in the UK as well, but I feel like a lot of ambitious people do come to Dubai now. With regards to where your business is coming from and how you're attracting effectively people to invest such large amounts of money with you, what would you say to people who are maybe trying to get to that level but aren't at that level yet?
Yeah, so it boils down to a lot of things. I've got a big database back in the UK from previous clients that I was dealing with in the UK. So I've got a lot of calls that I make back there. And I'm not even pushing them. I'm just kind of saying, how's it going? Just thought I'd let you know about this new development it's really worth looking at. And I'm not trying to flog everything to everyone. So when I do call them up every blue moon, they know it's for something good.
Yeah.
My WhatsApp statuses are quite good. So I've got your WhatsApp statuses are good ways for people to see you that probably aren't on LinkedIn and your Facebook and your Instagram.
Probably old numbers on there.
So I had one in response to my WhatsApp story the other day. Fingers crossed they purchase a unit with me later on this evening or tomorrow. And that was one I hadn't even spoke to in over a year. Like a guy I've done business with before, but like I said, when you're posting on these different pillars, it's kind of generating
leads. So you think
leads.
Putting the content out is really important as well?
Yeah, so even on LinkedIn, I got slack on LinkedIn for a little while because I wasn't using it that much. And I thought, that's such a wrong way to look at it. So I was like, right, Dan, I need to get my posting done. I need to make sure I'm putting everything on there. And lo and behold, literally yesterday, a friend of mine from back when I was a plumber, has sold his company and he wants to invest over here in Dubai. And his message was, I keep seeing your videos pop up on my LinkedIn about Dubai. What's it about? And it's kind of like you're doing the social media post. You don't know who's watching you or who's going to see.
Every one of those views is a person. People just look at the views. How many views did it get? But have you ever seen a room with 500 people in it? It's massive.
Yeah.
So like if you've got
doing that
2,000, 3,000, 4,000 views and you think, oh, there's another video that's got 1 million. Listen, when you get 1 million views, it's junk views. It's junk views. You're not getting a dialed-in audience. When you're getting a dialed-in audience, you just need one person to watch that video and go, can you tell me more about this? But the thing is that people don't do it. They're not posting on social media. They think that leads are just going to come to them. Of course, you've got to call data and call databases and door knock and all this sort of stuff, but you've also got to attract business. So what social media actually is it's an opportunity for you to demonstrate your knowledge, update people on what's going on in the market that they're in. Maybe it's the UK or Dubai or the local market that you're working in. Then you're going to show your credibility. So you're going to do this with facts, figures, data, with news bulletins of what's going on, where the price is at, how many houses you've listed, how many houses you've sold. You need to show social proof. So have you been selling anything? Are you at open houses? Are you doing viewings? Are you out prospecting? Are you meeting clients? Are you active in your market? Because when you show that you're active, then people will want to deal with the active person. If they're landing on your social media, there's one post in 3 months saying just joined, then what the fuck is that? It's nothing, is it? It's like, you know, you've got to get serious about this.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to keep posting every. You never know who's watching, and the majority of my leads are actually coming through social media platforms now.
Nice, nice. Well, look, I think that's an amazing, detailed journey from my brother Reis there, who's now got to a point where he's earning serious money in real estate. So one of the differences we have with Tyron Ash International is we're not a company that loads in 1,000 brokers and hopes that 10 of them bill, right? We finely tune and handpick who comes into the business, who fits in with the culture, who embraces the social media support, who's on all the online live training sessions, and doing everything to become $1 million agent. So if you're interested in becoming that next $1 million agent in the UK or Dubai, reach out to us. The recruitment team is interviewing currently, and we'd love to hear from you. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Click like and subscribe.